Hello, it's me, Calypso by the Sea, and welcome back to the Glines Ultimate Decades Challenge, where today we are going to do, as promised, a little recap. So I decided to go ahead and try out the Sims Tree app and kind of use that today to just make it to where we can check in on the family, where we are now, where we've been, and kind of, just boost what we know before we go to the famine. What I want to do, honestly, is to do recaps every 10 years, every decade. But, whatever every 10 years is. I think it's decade. Anyways, ignore me. But yeah. I just think it's good to just kind of check in before that, because I was like, well, you could do it, but by the time that 1310 rolled around, I was like, well, I don't think that much has happened to where we need to, check in. But then I was like, oh, the famine's about to happen, so I think that would be a better starting point. My indecisiveness, in other words. So we are going to just kind of like, where are we? Where are we now? What are we doing? So let's get to it. First off, we're going to start off with not our founders, but our founders' parents, Alan and Gwendolyn, who, as you can see, yes, both died. They settled down a while ago in a quiet countryside of Henford-on-Bagley, which is, I had set off to be more of a Welsh countryside than anything else. I looked it up and was like, oh, this is interesting, because I just, goes through my mind sometimes, and the execution isn't always the best, but we're working on it. We're working on it. So we're getting more, as I get more and more comfortable with everything, we can, bring out these aspects more. That's why their names are the way they are, and why it's not exactly historically accurate. Historical fantasy, obviously, because there's like, you're looking right at Joan with the mermaid symbol. But we're trying to do as much as we can that's historical and accurate within The Sims, and also within my memory and what I can figure out how to do. So yes. So they settled down and had 3 children. The oldest, Dween, as we all know. The middle child, Kinfrin, who we all know. And our dear Guinevere. I think they did try to have more, and they didn't try to, just like have them back to back to back, but just kind of went as they went. Alan had the farm, and liked to be about the town. He was a very nice man who just wanted to have a good time and love his family. His wife, Gwendolyn, had a more rough life, even before she met Alan, and through that she was kind of more of a no-nonsense lady. She loved her family very fiercely. However, she just also just wanted the best to survive. She's like one of my favorites. I was so upset when she died. So early, it feels. I mean, yeah, it was early. It was literally like first rolls, and she was like, yeah, I gotta go, and I was like, oh, my plans. But that's just kind of what happens with The Sims, and this challenge. Your plans are always something, and then they are no more. Which, fine. But she passed away quite suddenly, and that kind of rocked the family. She succumbed to typhus, which was going around at the time, which is something I was reading that can transfer to people through town, easy transmission and could carry around. Luckily, nobody else in the family had it. But Gwendolyn unfortunately succumbed, and sorry about my dog. Unfortunately, I couldn't at the time really display that as well, but so she succumbed, and this kind of kick-started others' plans. While Dwayne always, wanted to be a farmer, take over the farm as, dictated by his father, he's just always also just kind of a laid-back guy. He's just like, I'll take things as they come. I know my duties, but I just, there was just a part of him that was always just, I guess you could say, take things for granted. And so the death of his mom, who would always tell him, do your best, and was always a good supporter for him, there was never any question with that. Her leaving definitely, or passing away, definitely had its effect of like, oh, I need to, death is inevitable. So we definitely need to do what we need to do. And so that's when he started looking for, a bit late, but looking for his future partner. Kenfriend took that a bit differently as well. He had already had his plans where he had the great fortune, if you remember, of meeting Joan's father and seeing Joan in market one day and schmoozing his way into what he thought was going to be just, his angle was money. Always money, not love. But, girl was pretty, and his father, he just wanted to see maybe if he could find a way to work with his dad. He didn't expect his dad to be like, take this girl off my hands, this curse. Which, he was a very noble man who I just want a son and a perfect family, perfect lineage to pass down through the generations, and ended up with a bunch of daughters. And I don't know why he was, it was asked before, it's like, if he's such a guy, then why did he get with a mermaid and have, well, technically, his first two children, actually with the family tree up, you can look at that. The first two children for Grayson, Joan and Araya, are, if I remember correctly, because this was in a different save file, they had the same mother. And then Valentina and Krista were from separate mothers as well. And then Anastasios and Emily were from this save file, new wife that he received. So my thinking is that Grayson, that's the father, he was tricked by a mermaid. She fell in love with him for whatever reason and used her siren song to be with him. And, she hid her nature for a while. He found out, but I think, because I think they need water, so you would eventually see her tail slapping out taking a bath, but I think she still used her siren magic to keep him interested. However, she passed away in childbirth, so that freed him from that magic. But that does mean that he was not happy that he had one mermaid daughter. Forgive me, my allergies decided today is the day because I'm recording. But it's gonna bother me. So, Joan was the only one who ended up having the mermaid in her, but he still resented having let's see, one, two, what, 4 daughters, and he wanted a son, and he never got one that lived because Anastasios died in childbirth, and that just I just think that broke him, because then his next child was a girl, and then he died of old age. So yay! I mean, yay! Yay that that he never got what he wanted. Not yay at the deaths of the kids. Sorry. So that little aside, yeah. So Kenfriend, was like, this is too good to be true, but he, he's always been a clever guy. Let's take a look at his traits. I believe I have them uploaded here as well. Yes, he's smart, cruel, bad-natured, and slow to warm up. And that, he's, as you saw throughout the gameplay, he was very cruel, and, he does have affection for his family. Both his new family and his old family. However, he's always been a very self-serving person, and that just never changed throughout his life. So he's like, sure, I will take this defective girl off your hand. However, he always wanted, and I'll bring it up again, he also wanted to be an expert winemaker. And he got his wish, because the father, Grayson, gave him the money and supplies and even some land to do that. And he's like, you take her off my hands. She's written off. Do what you will. I do not care. Here is the payment for this burden. Kenfriend's like, I really don't care. Sure, whatever, man. And, the equivalent of that. And was like, yeah, I will make my business. And that's how he rolled. And he ran away in the night, as you'll see, which will become a thing, after Gwendolyn's death. And married Joan. And from there, he had several children with her. They were very successful, by the way, in this. We have Natalie, who's the oldest. She's, I didn't update her traits on here, but she's always been a very happy person. She's always been a good girl, always doing her best, always making sure she's helping out others. However, she does have a thorn in her side, which would be the next child and the heir for Kenfriend, Andreas, who used to have brown hair, but for whatever reason, he just does not want to keep it. It just does not stick. So maybe when he returns into a teen, I will try again. But I don't know. I don't know if it's the hairstyle. I don't know if it's him. But they just do not want him to have that brown hair, which I thought suited him. But I did update his traits on here. He's a mermaid like his mother. So that's interesting. He's a language savant, cold-blooded, and clever, which it seems like he is taking after his father, much to Joan and Natalie's dismay. Say hello to my dog again, who just cannot. He just needs love. Yes, so he is always a thorn in his siblings' sides. He's very cruel to Natalie, always riling her up for whatever reason. I don't understand. Natalie's always been a good girl, very helpful. I think she has want to get along with her family and her siblings all the time. So it's just truly like a mystery why Andreas messes with her this way. She's very good older sister who takes care of her younger siblings, and even Andreas, who she despises most of the time. I believe I have a picture of them together. she's so cute, right? Throughout the years. I don't have it on here. Oh. Yes, they, got along at some points, but for the most part, just Andreas, it's just best to try to keep on his good side. I think she ends up on the side of just trying to coexist with him, even though they have a difficult family dynamic. And Andreas, I'm not sure what his aim is at this point, because he's not a good boy. He's not a good boy. He's very rude. I mean, he's very cruel to his siblings, but he's never that way with his parents. In front of his parents, he's just an angel. But, his mom could see through him, honestly. He's 10 years old at this point, by 13, 14. And I'm not sure what kind of plans a 10-year-old could have, but he's started to make friends with some of the local children. I worked very hard on that, as you saw. But yeah, he's now the man of the house now that his father has passed, and we'll see how that plays out, because as you saw, he was not as affected as his other siblings were. He's just been kind of a jerk. But that's just Andreas. Helia was the next child. He was an albino, which I thought was very interesting. But he passed away as an infant, unfortunately. He was a very good boy. He had an intestinal obstruction. He was an intense child. I remember that. And I was like, oh no. I remember, I think Joan had a hard birth with him, so that could have been a contributing factor to his overall health. But, he did not make it, and he was like the only child that did not survive. I think everyone else was just pretty much, as you see, alive. Which brings us to our next child and mermaid, Lori. She's such a cutie girl. Like, look at this. So cute. The cutest. Sorry. She's my cutie girl, for real. I also did not have her traits uploaded on here. Sorry, I will be more prepared next time. I did do a lot, but I still ended up falling some through the cracks. But these are fun, so I'll definitely be doing this again when we hit the 20s. The 20s, that's like 6 years away. That's so close. Lori is a mermaid, and I guess she's firmly a middle child. Yeah. She would have been a middle child with Ilya, but she's middle child with Isabel. But good girl who's always been sweet, but she's developed recently a kind of complex where she feels like she's talentless and she's shy but kind. So I just think that we discussed that Kinfriend and Andreas probably had a big to do, part of why she was like that, because it's just all that pressure and all that cruelty around her. It's just better to be a soft girl who is not sticking out, so you won't get bullied. Just do what you're told and stay out the way, and everything will be okay. Even though the funny part is she was actually one of Kinfriend's favorite children. I was looking through all the pictures, and he was the one, he picks up all the children. That's kind of been a thing that's been kind of funny to me. When you load into the house, he's always holding a child, usually looking angry. But when it came time to talk with them and stuff, Lori was the one he was just generally nice to. and that was cool, in a sweet way. But yeah, it was very sweet. But, you know, after he passed, she did cry. She, you know, that was her father. There's a sense of relief after he passed, but it's also just like I said before, Andreas never acted that way in front of his parents, like Kinfrin. And when it came to Kinfrin, he was always like, Dad, relax, it's fine, and tried to get along with his dad. But without that dad fluence around, I wonder if how that's gonna make the others feel. Like, he wasn't a great guy, but he was, you know, at least made Andreas act right in front of the other siblings, which means that, oh, maybe he was kind of a protector in a way, because now nothing's going to stop Andreas except Joan. And I don't know, Joan can see Andreas's nature, but how much she's willing to act on it, I don't know yet. I have to definitely play more with her, because she's kind of a mystery to me when it comes to how she feels about Andreas. She definitely, it's not permissive. She can see he's not a great guy, but her influence on him, she still lets her, it feels a bit permissive, I suppose. Anyways, so next we have Isabel, who's set to age up to a toddler. Oh, I forgot she did have that. I mean, I guess birthmarks kind of fade with time. I can add it back. She ended up having white hair, which was interesting with, you know, because of Elia. But she's not a mermaid, which I thought was funny. I think it's because of her mermaid blood, but she's not a mermaid. And that's funny that the children that look most like they would be mermaids were not mermaids. That's very funny to me and interesting. So I think it's cute. She's kind of, you know, hasn't got much spotlight as of right now, because she's kind of just in between. Like, she gets middle child syndrome more than her sister Lori, which I thought was cute and funny, but that just means I'm the one neglecting her, not everyone else. Oops. So we'll definitely try to figure her out more, but she's just kind of a toddler right now, so it's not really much to say other than she's very cute, she's very sweet, and her brother Andreas was very mean to her, so she's very, like, he kind of bullies her, honestly, more than Lori, and I think that sucks. But that's why she looks upset, because I was trying, every time I tried to get pictures of her, Andreas was always around being a bully. I was like, enough! And then we have the king. I mean, William's next. William, my favorite baby. Sorry, he's my favorite. Look at him. Look at him. He's a cute baby, guys. Yes, hello. Yes, Cowboy, my dog again. He's the best. He's the best, guys. I have like a billion pictures of him. I took off screen, so I will not subject you to that. I would just let you know that I love William very much. Okay? He's the newest family member. He's been completing his roles. Oh, I cannot wait to see what he's gonna age up into a toddler. I cannot wait for that, guys. Oh, I'm gonna lose my mind. He has protection forever. He's immune to death. He's, you know, I'm not, that's not true. But listen, man, listen. He's so cute. And the mermaid, which I think is cute. It's so cute. He's kind of like he didn't get to experience Kinfriend, so his life is going to be quite interesting as someone who didn't have to grow up under the house of Kinfriend, but also and Andreas, but he has to grow up under a house of Andreas. So we'll see how that is. We'll see. But I love William a lot, guys. I love William so much. So much. I'll be devastated if something happens. And this brings us back to Kinfriend himself, who passed away in the last episode before the famine, my guy, of influenza. Sickness had struck the house, and Natalie was sick, but she recovered. Kinfriend, however, did not. I did try to save him. Nothing was working. The game was like, no, you gotta plead for him. And when it came time to plead, and if you saw that short, you saw what happened with that and how Joan felt about that. She's free. She is free. And influenza, you know, oof, tough. But I think Joan, she's always been craving her sister. Her sister Araya came to visit after years. It's been 13 years since she saw her sister after she was packed away and shipped off with Kinfriend to another land. Well, not land, but you know, another countryside. She used to live on the coast, and now she lives more inland. And Araya, she grew up to be an adventurous girly. She got married. I'm going a little bit into the family because it's important to Joan. Because Joan wants to reconnect with her sister. She misses her sisters so much. Araya actually came to visit, and that's around the time Kinfriend got sick. So Kinfriend blamed Araya for bringing illness to them. Because, you know, he's just a mean guy. He's just like, he could see how much Joan was starting to pull away from him just even before Araya came visit. And then seeing Araya, I think, awaken more. Thank you, Cowboy. Awaken more inside her. So, yeah. She has a husband, a Greek husband, and they have 3 children together. And her sister, who Joan has been thinking about a lot, is Valentina. She actually got divorced. Her husband divorced her, Maurice. I was like, what? I came to check on them. She bore him 3 sons, and she's pregnant with, I just checked anyway, she's pregnant with a 4th son, and he just runs off with another woman, which apparently he's been having an affair with. I went out of my way to get them married, so that's like triple funny that they went out of their way to do this to me. Well, he did this to her. And so, you know, I know she's just like, I hate men, and you know, like, Valentina and Joan both are like, wow, that sucks. Like, just realizing that, wow, a man is not going to solve my problems. A man is not going to solve my problems. Because the reason they all have Blackburn is because she should be a Smith. I don't know. Blackburn is because she bore them all out of wedlock, except for this last baby, technically. And ended up he ended up leaving her. So if I remember correctly, like, if you get divorced, don't you have to wait till your husband dies or something like that? So she's just kind of stuck, isn't she, with 4 boys? Oh goodness. very cute. I like Roy's. He's just very cute. Roy looks very cute. Darius is kind of a jerk. His traits are very jerky, but Roy's cute. Anyways, Krista died on her child age up. Anastasios died as well. And then we have Emily, which was the last child he had. I forgot to add his, his wife, much younger wife, who ended up remarried to Reginald McCrook. I was like, girl, do you just like the geriatric division? Okay. Some of us, listen, I know some people who like older men. I was like, I know people like older men, but that's a lot of older men. He's literally like, anyways. So, this was her last child with him. And, he just never got to have a son. And so I don't think she's aware of Anastasios and Emily. So Joan is in a position where I want her to be able to reach back out to her family. And she's going to discover Araya is great, Valentina not so great. And like, oh, I have a baby sister. Oh, that's cute. So, she has this journey to go on with, I have to ask, I've kept forgetting, like, what would she do in this situation? Because she needs to marry off her daughter, Natalie. So she needs a dowry. Andreas needs to have a marriage as well. And she has 2 daughters and a son. So, she has a lot coming. So, all right, let's break real quick. Okay, now that I'm rehydrated and such, let's go on over to Guinevere, who, her story, I had her, as you saw, a storyline with her first husband, Rhys, who I adore. I love Rhys. He's a cool guy. However, his wife sucks. There's no around that. Your wife kinda sucked. Because she ran off with the Grim Reaper, who she bore 3 children for. But before we get into that, let's look over at Rhys. Let me see if I can. There we go. Is it working? Yes. So Rhys and Guinevere had 2 children together. Rhys is a crystal. He's a gem crafter of sorts. He crafts gems and then he sells them to people. So he's kind of a merchant of sorts, but when it comes to gems and such. So he is on the richer side, and so that's what attracted Guinevere in the first place. Well, what attracted her in the first place was that he was handsome. And Rhys is a loving guy. He used to be a kind of bandit. Not bandit, a pirate of sorts. He has the tattoos of his time on the sea, and he has the scars for his countless battles, and he was kind of with a rough crowd, but he always wanted to settle down. And so he broke with his old crew and ended up settling down. And during his travels as a merchant, he went to Henford on Bagley and was struck by a beauty who just pretty much wrapped him around her finger. Guinevere, was just, I don't know, just something about her just drug him forward, and he was head over heels for her, and they ended up running away together, which was after Guinevere's mother, Gwendolyn, died. Gwendolyn had caught Guinevere and was like, hey now, girly, what's going on? And was kind of like, something's not right. But she passed away before she could suss out everything that was going on. And that made it to where Guinevere could get out of there and be the wife of Rhys. And as a wife, she was like, I don't want to lift a finger, I don't want to do anything. But she also was kind of a bully to her husband, and they ended up having a kind of strained relationship because the honeymoon period was over, and now her true colors were showing, and he's just like, she's not the best, but he still really loved her. Rhys really loved her. I don't know Guinevere's feelings for him at the time. I think he was just a good income. But regardless, they had their first son, Esne, who passed away to an intraventricular hemorrhage, which sounded awful. Poor baby. And that kind of bummed everyone out, of course. Should. But the next baby was Ishmael, who is our living heir for Guinevere. He's an imaginative, trust issues cat lover who wants to be an honor student. And he got that trust issues from Guinevere. So let's go over her traits. Excuse me, I forgot. Who's a music lover, who's nosy, with trust issues, and is feeble. So she's always just been not suited for the farm life at all. She wants to be a mansion baron. So she wants to be rich, and she wants to be surrounded by music and playing her beloved harp, which she's quite good at now. She died in childbirth for Ishmael. However, our super friend here, Kig friend, not to be mistaken for kin friend, saved her. He's the Grim Reaper, by the way. He has several forms that he likes to take, but this is one of the ones that he takes for Guinevere. She likes it. She finds it handsome. He's cold-blooded, woohoo lover, arrogant, genius, and irresistible. So, she's, irresistible. They see down here as a occultist dragon race is because, he's a Grim Reaper, but how was I going to make the Grim Reaper? This was before the pack came up. How was I going to make the Grim Reaper a thing? So I kind of just put a dragon race down. So if you see her daughter, as you see, they have the horns and tail. Which, if you know, you know. So that's how they were marked with that. And technically, he's a widow because his wife died. He doesn't know that she was brought back by the Grim Reaper. And they now live in before they lived in hang on a second. Brendleton Bay. I don't know why I couldn't say that. Oh my goodness. She now lives in Windenburg, where she suddenly knows French, and it's kind of like a French-German influence there. So you'll see kind of both of that going on, which if you know history, okay, just say okay, girl. We'll split that a little bit, I think, once I figure out what I want to do with that. But yeah. So, and she has her live-in nanny to help take care of her 2 children. She bore him the Grim Reaper Kig friend, 3 children: Helena, Doruk, and Glimet. But Doruk, she's so unlucky with boys. Did not make it. Helena, who's the oldest, has made it. She's the cutest. Also, this is like one of my favorite pictures of her, by the way. She's just so concerned, which, fair. This is I can't remember her name, I'm sorry, her nanny, who she loves because she's raised her. throughout her life. Isn't she so adorable? Helena, Helena, Helena. You're such a cutie girl. I don't have her current traits. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Forgive me. But you know, she's a responsible girl who loves her father, even though he's a bit distant because he's always leaving to go on his nightly duties, quote unquote. That's what she, you know, if he's kind of casted a spell where if you ask him about, you know, or think about him, you think, oh, he is a knight. He has always been in knight service and he always does knight things. And that's what you think of. But in reality, he is the Grim Reaper and he's off reaping. If he's not he himself doing the reaping, he has someone else to do the reaping, or an avatar of sorts. Some require his attention, some don't, but you know, it's you know, it's kind of lonely for Helena because her mom still does not like having kids. Her mom is still kind of a selfish person because it's crazy. She tries, but she just cannot connect with her children. Dora passed away as a child, low birth rate. Sorry, buddy. But she did successfully have another daughter, Glines, she is just like kind of a resting bee face kind of girl. I can see that already. She's actually, like, if I remember correctly, like has like the most happy, like always happy and angelic. So she's actually like really chill and sweet, but she just has the face of yeah. So, you know, Helena has very complex feelings as well, because when she saw her sister, she was just like, oh no, I don't like that. Another baby, which is part of her, I feel like, is she's like, do I feel sorry that my sister's born in such a situation, or do I feel jealous because I have a sister who was born in all this and is taking away what little attention I have? It's both, girly. You know, people can feel multitudes. It's both. So I just thought that was interesting, that dynamic, but it's cute. She's cute. And it's bound to age up soon. And Helena has to find needs to find a suitable partner. So her nanny and Guinevere set to do that. Kigfriend, you know, he's just like, do what you want, my love. I do not care. And is just living that life. He does care because if you remember, he actually went to go visit Reese. And I'm going to put that down as the soulmates thing that happened in the romantic stuff that popped up, is him kind of ensorceling him. Because, like, he has obsession with this family, I swear. It's just Guinevere, who he loves a lot. He loves Guinevere a lot. And Guinevere likes him. They just have such a passionate romance. But it's just, you could say that it's just a more physical compatibility, while Reese, I mean, I do think Kigfriend likes, like, he wouldn't bring her back just for a hole, you know? That's horrible to say. You know, just for relations, you know? So rude. But it's true. But Reese, I feel as well that he did love her. He loves her a lot. He still has her and thinks about her constantly. And Ishmael, I made sure Ishmael grew up to think about his mother and say good morning to her, and things like that. And so he actually has the trust issues the same as Guinevere. And I think that's interesting. that I think Rhys probably sees a lot of Guinevere in him. Just that his lively nature and just kind of how he doesn't quite let people in. And I think having the trust issues is not so much that I don't trust you, don't like you, like Guinevere has it as a more cynical person. He has it more as, I'm afraid to let people in because you might leave. Like, I don't know, I think he did something about seeing the way his father was after his mother died and how that's always kind of haunting. He's never remarried. He just works and spends time with him and then works some more, and you know, it's just, he's just kind of lonely, and that loneliness I think extends to where he's like, I don't want to let other people in either because I can see how hurt my father is, and I don't want to be hurt like that, but also I don't know what to do. So he's I think he's just a very interesting case. As of 1314, he's also 10, as same as Andreas, and I just think he's, you know, he only has 3 more years until he's a teen, and then, you know, he'll have a little bit more once he's past the age of 13. He'll be, you know, he'll be having to find his own wife and carry on. He wants to do something scholarly, and I'm not sure what it is, but he has a lot to think about because a strange man, Kickfriend, gave him a necklace that said it was from his mother, but how can it be when his mother is dead? And he sees how weird his father acts when bringing up the stranger, because he's still kind of under his thrall. So it's just like, Ishmael, you have an interesting storyline going on. Also, he's cursed. I say cursed because I can't fix it. The game won't let me fix his eyes from not being red. I don't know how to, you know, I've tried everything. So he's been blessed, cursed by death. And I think that's interesting. And this is how we're going to tie back into the main story in just a bit, because Guinevere coming back was not a freebie, because a life for a life, and Grimm took someone's life, which we'll see in just a moment who that was. It's her. It's Zach. We all know Zach. But yes. So Dwayne, our heir and main family, as you can see with this nice golden line that's coming from the Sims tree up to link everyone, the airship down. Man, he used to be such a bright-eyed individual, so happy, and then he just, and then he kind of, yeah, he's been through it, guys. So let's start with Dwayne. He is a warm-hearted, artistic rancher who's determined yet unpredictable. He, let's see about that. He was, you know, the one who had to pick up the pieces for his father after his mother left. You could see the devastation that left on Alan. And he, you know, did his best to that's when he kind of pulled himself together and start on his wife's search, which he should have done earlier, but he is just happy to work the land, just happy to be here, guys, kind of thing. But after that, he's like, I have duties that my mother and father always wanted me to do. Alan was always a little harder on Dwayne because he was the oldest, and he was just like, you gotta pick up the slack, because almost like Gwen ran away the night Guinevere, like the day after Guinevere died. Gwendolyn died, excuse me. And that broke Helen even more. because that was his wife, his love, and she's gone, and then their daughter is gone. It's just so rough. It's so, and so he came down hard on Dwayne. And then, you know, him and Kinfriend went out for their little jaunt to find, you know, partners, where Dwayne was taking it seriously. Kinfriend was just playing around because he already had his plan set, which he didn't tell anybody. But, you know, he's like, I could have some fun before I go. And then Dwayne met Zan, who we all know and love and adore. She was the best, truly. And then Kinfriend ran away, and then Alan got mauled by a bear. Yeah, Dwayne just was going through it, a lot of stress, and in the meantime, he managed to marry Zan. And try to attend to his father at the same time, and the farm. Things were just very, very chaotic. And after they got married, Alan passed away from his bear wounds, and joined his beloved wife, Gwendolyn. And Dwayne was just like, ugh, it's rough. But he picked himself up and did his best. Between Zan and Dwayne, they had 4 children. Annette, who died of sepsis as a baby. The twins, Halen and Hila, who both died to malnutrition, did not make it past being babies as well. And then their final child together, Elfin, who's my favorite, the best baby in the world, baby Elfin. Infant, look at that. He's so cute. Elfin. He's the best. Who did survive and is the cutest ever. The cutest to do it. Elfin. Okay, I'll stop. But she passed away to a very sudden illness. She died of disease shortly after Elfin was born. And that brings us back to Guinevere's story, because that's who was chosen. I don't know if it was on purpose, or I think it was on purpose, because in order for the spell to work, I believe Gwyn had to find someone close to Guinevere. And so other than a child between her and Dwayne, I think it just landed on Zan. And that was the unfortunate part. And she passed away so Guinevere could live. And that just broke Dwayne in a way to where now he just looks like this, and he has a more serious personality compared to how he was when he was younger. But Elfin is a good boy. He's wants to be a bad boy for some reason. He had rolled the trait aspiration to be a delinquent boy, but he's a good boy. He's always so helpful, always so kind. And so when Dwayne got remarried to Tulikli, who has quite the interesting story of escaping, well, let's just say that. She's a horse lover who reserved and is a language savant and is serious. You know, Dwayne had set off to find a new wife, and he was determined he wasn't gonna fall in love. He's just going to find a wife and do his duty just to make sure, because he knows, like, having one son, especially at the time, Elfin was a toddler. So he wanted to make sure his son was cared for and that the family line would go on, because that's what he was taught to do. And he ended up finding Tuikui and was just instantly in love. So his softer heart is in there. He just cannot help himself. He wants to be more serious and strong, but just in his heart, he's just not that guy. So, I gotta cut that out. So yeah, he ended up meeting Tuikui, who came from another land. She was raised to be a priestess for her god, and she did not want that for herself. There's just a part of her that yearned for more. Even though she's a serious person, she just also wants more for her life than just staying in stuffy temples and saying scriptures and things like that. So she would often sneak out and talk to travelers and hear their stories and wanted to join them. So, yes. Cut that out. So, she one day got within herself to take passage and run away. She knows a few languages and was able to, at least passably knows them. And she can get out and go where she needs to go, And she ended up in Henford-on-Bagley through many adventures. She learned swordplay. She learned the culture of Henford-on-Bagley compared to hers, all with the help of her best friend, Miss Ward, who I cannot remember her first name right now. Sorry, I don't have it up in front of me. And she just was able to thrive a bit, in this culture she wasn't so familiar with. And she ended up having what she thought was going to be a one-night stand with Dwayne, a moment of passion with him. She ended up being pregnant. And she knows that an unwedded mother would be looked down on and would have a harder time than someone who was married. So she said, okay, let's get married, Dwayne. And they ended up getting married, though if you can see in this picture, she's not always as happy about it because she's not quite sure if this is a life she wants. But Elfin has always been kind to her. Dwayne has always treated her right. She's been a bit rough with Dwayne. It's just kind of how she is. But they are a good unit. They had 3 children so far. Desponia, who did not make it past toddlerhood. She's very cute. Very cute. I loved her a lot. She was a very cutie baby, Miss Des. However, she died of rubella and did not make it past being a toddler, unfortunately. And then we have their second child, Patlia, who made it past his baby roles but did not make it to his past his infancy, which he also, this recent crop of kids with these intense looks are adorable. But he died of spina bifida, and that was pretty sad for Tuikui and Dwayne. Dwayne, I feel, is just used to this because, as you can see, he just does not have good luck with children living. But we have Arvido, who's the latest baby, who's born right at 13-14, and he made it. Yay! We'll see if he'll make it past infancy, but this will be a very tough year because this is the year that we are in the famine. 13-15 rolls around, famine time. And man, and this is one thing that has to be said. On top of everything else that is going on with Dwayne, he is being hunted by a woman who is associated with Zan. Zan used to be a bandit, run with a couple of bandits. And if you remember from the shorts, that she broke off with them to live her life and become wife of Dwayne. That displeased the noblewoman who, well, she's always been bored, and so she ran her little gang just for fun and just for her own pleasure. And so she found out Zan died, because she fully expected Zan, who was near the end quite unhappy because of the death of the children, how hard everything was, you know. And it was kind of predictable in a way, because you have to admit, this kind of living isn't for everyone, and the carefree life of a bandit and thief probably looks a lot better compared to the wife of a farmer who's popping out kids and just being tortured with the death of all your children all the time, which, you know, it's just her bad luck, honestly. But so after hearing that Zan died and she investigated a little bit, she found that it was weird, that she would go from being so healthy to healthy to suddenly dead, even on top of all the pregnancies and such. So after finding the local midwife, who was also a witch, and finding that, you know, she couldn't be brought back because her death was claimed through magic, that made her start thinking Dwayne had something to do with it, because he didn't plead for her or try to find how to save her. So now she's actually been pretty much putting the squeeze on Dwayne's family by making their taxes go up. But he doesn't know that that's the reason why. He just thinks it's, just the way of the land. But every now and then he'll notice that it's not quite consistent either. So he's not quite sure what's going on. But it has been happening where he just has to keep giving more and more, and he doesn't know why. And he was warned in the last episode by the midwife witch who was threatened by the noble woman, but Dwayne's wife was in labor, so he wasn't really paying attention. He was like, I gotta go. I don't want to listen to your ramblings right now. So it just, yeah. We'll see where that storyline goes, especially now during the famine that's about to happen. I feel as if this is a good time for that storyline to kick off even more, or at least for her to be a bit more cruel, because, oof, yeah. She is not happy, even though that is his, Zan's child. Dwayne is Zan's child. Not Dwayne, excuse me. Elfin is Zan's child. She doesn't feel like he deserved to live, and Zan had to die. So we'll see where that goes during the famine. This has been long, yes, but very necessary, I feel, just so we can all be on the same track, and so you can know where my mind was for this messy family, where, you know, like, a lot of stuff I did not have planned, but it just ended up happening, and I had to kind of roll with it, and the storylines I had kind of fizzled out because, like, oh, this happened or this happened, and I'm like, oh boy. But it's been very fun so far. I do want, when it comes time for the famine, we're going to be doing our rules for, I believe it was, let's see, Plum Bob's had the rules for when it came time for the, the famine. We'll be going with those, but there's also travel during the famine. There was issues that you could have that I wanted to do. If we have to travel, we will do the rules. Animal prices will be higher after the famine and things. Let's see. And I believe with Citrine, she also had rules like that. Citrine is also a sim YouTuber who does UDC. Definitely check her out. She has some rules, I believe. You could get encounters as well, so I'll be combining those on top of something I'm planning on doing, because that's specific to doing because of the noble lady that has it out for him. So look forward to that. So that has been up to 1300 to 1314 with the Glines family. It's been very fun. These guys are such a mess, honestly, such a mess, but I love it. I love them, and I still, Kinfriend, you died right before the famine. That's crazy of you. Anyways, actually, I do want to say that I did have, he was going to be like a profiteer during this time, like the worst, but he died, so we don't have to worry about that. Him being the worst during a famine, making it worse for everybody else. But yes, so this has been the Glines Ultimate Decades Challenge. A little look through, look back, where are they now, here we are now, kind of thing. I'm very much looking forward to what's happening next. And we'll see you guys next time. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye.